thinking of whether we can completely see eye to eye on the exact vision for the Southwest, or on how to get there even, to anchor us in the urgency and responsibility that current policymakers, council and enterprise leaders, and really all of us have to be as courageous and ambitious as possible in our current conversations and decisions. We have invited Maisie Frost, member of the Youth Parliament for North Devon, to come and speak with us. Hi, Maisie. You're skipping classes to be here with us today, so we appreciate it. And you brought some of your colleagues, some other Youth Parliament colleagues with you. So also a quick shout out to Saffron and Joseph and Jake and Lilia, who will be scattered across the breakout rooms to listen and contribute to the discussions later on. But we would really like to hear from you, in your own words, what is important to the young people that you are representing in terms of economic policy.
Hiya everyone. So my name's Maisie Frost. I can't even say my own name. So thank you for that introduction, Daphne. I'm 15 years old. I like to say that for a bit of in background, because it can be quite surprising to a lot of people. Shows you who you're talking to. But anyway, so I am the member of Youth Parliament for North Devon, as Daphne said. And I'm really honoured to be here. Thank you so much. It's quite rare, I'd say, for young people to be invited onto something like this. As a member of Youth Parliament, we often have to try and seek out what's happening in terms of decision making, or maybe find out about it afterwards and say, look, why didn't you think about young people at all in this whole discussion that's changing so many things? So it's really great to be invited onto here. And yeah, we've got a couple other members of Youth Parliament here too. And we'll be joining in the breakout conversations later. So in terms of issues that matter to young people, well, in UK Youth Parliament, we recently had the Make Your Mark vote, which is a vote for young people all across the UK to take part in, to vote on two issues, one locally and another one nationally, that matter to them the most. That vote took place, there's one every year. It was November last year, which actually, now I think about it, that's 5 or 6 months ago, but it doesn't seem like that long ago. Time goes way too fast. But basically, I'm going to talk about the results from that vote, because I think that kind of shows what a lot of young people are thinking, and it's definitely a good way to see those issues. So we had results, I'm talking about results in Devon specifically, but it was quite similar across the whole of the UK, and it often is. Obviously they vary a little bit, but I'll talk about Devon just for the purpose of this. So you are asked to vote on one topic that matters to young people nationally, and there are 10 options, I think. So from education to mental health, climate crisis, there's loads of them. I can't remember all of them, but the top 3 came out in Devon as mental health, free university, and climate change. 2 of those, mental health and climate change, I was not surprised about at all. Free university kind of surprised us all a bit, but I think it's kind of that a more broader picture of education, which in the past year, 2 years for young people has been incredibly disrupted. So I think just anything about that we kind of jump onto and think, oh, that is a concern for us. And also I think free university, for a lot of young people who voted, just for a bit of background, it's 11 to 18 year olds. They can see themselves going to university. So free university may be something that impacts them in the near future. And then the other vote that young people get is the top local topic that they think matters to young people locally and to them locally. So in that you've got a lot of different options that are kind of similar, but then they also have a more local point of view. So you've got public transport, which has come up a lot in Devon, in Make Your Mark in the past years, but it didn't actually come up this year as the top 3. And for that, we had some quite shocking results. So domestic violence came up, as did homelessness and access to training and jobs and learning. So I think the access to training, jobs and learning is kind of similar to what I talked about with Free University. It's that concern with education that's been so disrupted. But domestic violence and homelessness, for me, when I hear that for young people in Devon, that's one of the top topics that they care about, it's really quite shocking and quite scary. But I think it's definitely throughout the pandemic, then a lot of those kind of issues have become more apparent. So that's kind of that's where I think those kind of votes have come from. But it's definitely quite shocking to see that and think that young people who are kind of 11 years old to 18, that's what they care about. But yeah, I think that gives quite a good picture. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, well, thanks for grounding that us in that. And I'm kind of amazed that the future generation, for who are supposedly making all these decisions, big decisions and complex decisions, are not more involved. So thank you for bringing that in. And I'm just going to challenge you here. If you were to put a challenge to us here today, what would it be? What would you like us to hear, do, know? Let us know.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a bit of a concept to introduce to you guys, which I was kind of introduced to in the first lockdown when I was on a lot of Zoom calls. That's kind of where I spent my life in the first lockdown, as I'm sure everyone else did. But it's called Lighting the Children's Fire, and it's an ancient indigenous practice that I can't tell you the exact indigenous community that it was originally part of, but I believe it is somewhere in the Americas. And the idea is that every decision that you make is you must consider the next 7 generations. So whether you take that as considering that it must impact them positively and not negatively, then that's another thing. But I think just thinking about the next 7 generations is something to be kind of thought about. So I found this, I was trying to research it because that's literally all the information that I had and that I could remember. And there's like the Children's Fire Collective or something. I mean, when I searched it up, all it was how to light a fire with some children. That's not what it is. So it's you can actually physically light a fire, but it's more the symbol. So it's a symbol and reminder for us all to put the continuation of life in all its diversity and the well-being of our future generations first, so before power, profit, or personal ambition. And I think that's, for a lot of decisions that are being made nowadays, that's quite a shocking thing that no one would really think about. You don't really say, oh, I'm going to consider the next 7 generations. And I mean, that's quite a big ask because it's a lot of people, and it's a lot of earth. But I think, especially in terms of like climate change and pandemics, I think it's definitely something that we should maybe not kind of produce with every decision that's made, but it's definitely something to think about if you can. So I think I will challenge you guys in this session to think about lighting the children's fire, and maybe take it forward with any other decision making that you guys might be involved in. I think for young people, we are often kind of forgotten. I think especially in this like pandemic, the government has kind of treated us as, I would say, like robots, kind of pushing us in and out of school. We haven't really been considered very much. We're often forgotten, kind of the teenagers who just make mess and ruin everything. But I think kind of thinking about it like this, and I think next 7 generations can also include kind of the younger generation that are already here, because we're not yet in power and we don't have much position of power. So yeah, that's my challenge to you guys.
Well, Maisie, I am so pleased that we can have your voice here today and of your colleagues. That is certainly a challenge to put the economic model that we put front and central in service of the continuation of life. Thank you for that challenge. I hope we can live up to it.